Welcome back to another episode of Uncommon Wealth, the show where we dive into the mindsets, moves, and mechanics behind building generational wealth. Today's guest is Matt Lavender, founder and president of New Again Houses. It's a fast-growing house flipping franchise built with the mission to transform aging house stock, empower local investors, and create systems that scale. Matt began his journey as a college professor before leveraging coaching, self-awareness, and an entrepreneurial drive to build a national franchise with over 50 territories and counting. His focus on process, ownership, and community is reshaping the residential real estate market, all while keeping his dream rooted in legacy and impact. So Matt, let's start from the beginning. Can you share a little bit of your backstory? How'd the business come to life and what those early years look like?
Yeah, man, I took the scenic route because as you mentioned, I was in my previous life, I was I taught college history and also coached. And so I didn't know, at the time I didn't realize like where those skill sets would lead. And eventually that was franchising, which is essentially what I didn't know then that I know now is franchising is a coaching business. And so, to connect the dots between then and now, I really wanted to build my own business. I wanted something that was mine. I realized that with my W-2, I enjoyed it, but I was building it for someone else, and I didn't have as much control as I thought I did when I was younger. And so I wanted to build something that was mine. And for me, it's like I've always been fascinated with real estate. And I wanted to turn that mom and pop industry of flipping houses into an actual business. And so that's where the idea started.
That's awesome. And now that the business is operating at scale, what's been the hardest part about staying out of the day-to-day while still growing and protecting what you're building?
Yeah, I think for me that has been easier. I think that is the problem we even see with our franchise owners is part of the trick is, it's one thing to flip a house. It's a different thing to build a business that flips houses.
Mm.
And to do you get on a hamster wheel if you're just flipping houses. You want to build a business that flips houses, but to do that, you have to separate yourself from the job site, from the business itself. And it's really difficult to do for a lot of people. For me, it was easier because I don't have any real usable skills on a job site. So I can't do anything helpful in terms of the work. So I wasn't tempted to get stuck in the job site like people with those skills do. So I think in some ways it's helpful to be in a business that you're not like personally and like emotionally invested in, or that it's necessarily your skill set.
Have you read the book E-Myth by Michael Gerber? Yeah, what
Yeah.
you're talking about sounds a lot like that. The lady or the person that likes to bake cakes, pretty soon they have a business of
Mhm.
baking cakes, but they're not really baking cakes anymore. So kind of
Yeah.
resonates very well with what you're saying.
Yeah, the world is full of those kinds of businesses, but at the same time, like it's a lot easier to be profitable in a business where you're the owner operator and that is your skill set and you're not thinking about scale. Like people think about taking a business and scaling it as like the one path to success. And it doesn't necessarily have to be. Like, if you focus and do something well in your shop, like that explanation, like it's not necessarily an unsuccessful life, right? Like
Yeah.
you can do that and you can be profitable very early on. It's less risk. It's more consistent. But like I realized in my 30s that if I wasn't building something, I wasn't satisfied. And so just knowing myself, I knew I was not going to be content doing anything, like that. And so I had to be building something bigger. But that doesn't it's a choice that I think people do need to make because there when you scale something, there are it's a different set of risks, different set of capital needs. Like there's a lot of questions that have to be answered, and it's not for everybody.
And when did you realize you were building more than just a business, that this for you could become real lasting wealth?
Well, I think that's what drew me to real estate. Like, there's all kinds of there's all kinds of businesses out there, right? And the thing about real estate that is unique is it's it's not a transaction based business. It's high margins, low transactions. Those are unique businesses. There's just not many. Like for us, like a successful franchise location does 12 houses a year. Well, that's not many transactions. But 12 real estate transactions is there's opportunity there's a lot of financial upside there, right?
Yeah.
In 12 transactions in any other business, like, it's hard to find one where you can do that. And
Low
so
volume, high margin.
yeah, yeah, it's very like, there just aren't many businesses like that. And so that's what's drawn me to real estate. Like I didn't wanna build a business that was gonna require an army of employees and overhead. Like, I really value quality of life and freedom. And so there's very few businesses, like most businesses that are volume based, the bigger you grow, the more demands there are. There's just not
Mhm.
path to quality of life, right?
Leverage. Yeah.
Hamster, right? And then
Yeah.
yeah, and then the other thing about real estate is, like, I didn't have capital myself, like, I was teaching and coaching, and so, like, I didn't have capital sources, and real estate, the other unique thing about real estate is you can leverage your inventory, and I think that's why the product really matters, like, what some things are scalable and some things are not. Like if it was a shoe store, like my mom owned a shoe store for years and years and years. Well, inventory is really difficult to manage because it's
Mhm.
not right. Like you have to buy to compete, you have to buy shoes at volume, and then you have to have that inventory, and then you have to sell it all. And in the meantime, like banks are not interested in financing a box of shoes in the back room.
Right. Right.
You you can't leverage the inventory.
It's
And I
not a
think
store of value. Yeah.
like one of my favorite books is Shoe Dog on the birth of Nike. And like Nike almost went over they almost went under at they were really a successful product, but just managing the inventory.
Mhm.
He could not get banks to finance his inventory of Nikes, and they almost went over or went under. And real estate's unique this way. Like all banks, all banks are willing to leverage real estate. And so
Exactly.
I think it's why I think it's why so many people have gained their wealth through real estate is because it's one of those that you don't necessarily have to have the capital yourself to build a business.
Yeah, you can use other people's money to help get you started, and the
Yeah, it's
power of
really
that arbitrage.
yeah, it's unique that way. You don't have to have a brick and mortar storefront.
Yeah.
You don't have to have employees. And so it's just unique that way.
What's one belief about wealth or success that's completely changed for you over the years?
Um, I I don't man, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
There have been times there have been times in my life where people have almost convinced me that there are shortcuts and that you can build product without putting in the time that it takes to get good at it. And I know there are certain things like social media content that people are making a lot of money without it not taking them years to really do it well. But I think those are rare.
Mm-hmm.
Or that I the more that I'm in business, the more and I see people who have had long-term success and that have persevered through all the different economic cycles, and it's a sustainable business, not just a flash in the pan in one particular, in one particular moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of time that goes into building that product and getting good at that one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Think I think we all make choices as to whether we try to do a lot of things, how narrow we are, and I think there's a lot of truth in being the best at one thing.
Well, about that one thing, let's talk strategy and structure for a second. What's
Yeah.
one thing that you've put in place to protect what you're building and what you've built, whether it's personally or inside the business?
Yeah, so I think if you asked a lot of people that question right now, they would point to some kind of technology or AI.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I still think is true, especially in real estate, is humans are essential to real estate. Whether it's a transaction, it's the analysis, it's every transaction is unique. And there's we lean very heavily into technology. In some ways we consider ourselves a technology company. Like we've had to build our own software over the years, and it's an enormous investment and really important, right? But the technology can't replace the humans. It just can't. And there's been a lot of failed big businesses in the past 5 years that have tried to scale real estate with technology rather than people, and it's never worked because every transaction, a real estate transaction, is unique. It's complicated. It requires a human to unravel and the relationships involved. And so it's like, what is the key to success in real estate? Well, technology is part of it. Like, you have to leverage technology, but the technology's purpose is to empower the people, not the other way around. And I think that's
Mm.
true, always been true, and I think it's going to be true tomorrow as well. Yes, technology is going to become more and more important to empowering people, but people are still going to be at the center of a real
Right.
estate business. Um,
That's interesting that you consider yourself to be a tech company in the real estate business. But I
yeah,
think you're right. I mean, it's to enhance, like AIs should be there to enhance and, like you said, empower and supplement the human aspect of what we do. Because at the end of the day, we can get questions answered and advice and, formulas from AI, but we still want that human advice, that counseling, that trust component to come into play.
yeah, and the analysis too. Like, we see our projects. Like, we do a lot of projects in all these different markets, and fundamentally we see it as a math problem. Like, it is about the math. Like, we are all about the math, but it's not just math.
Hmm.
Like, it's not. And when we started this business, we thought analytical people would be the most. Would be really successful with it, but it's the relationship people
Hmm.
are our highest performers. Well, why is that? Because relationships are just as valuable today as they were 5 years ago or 100 years ago.
And with your tech stack, you're empowering them to be that much more successful, that much sooner,
The,
quicker.
the, the idea with technology is, how can we leverage technology so the human can have more time
Right.
for relationships?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, that's really important. If you're building technology to try to replace people, maybe there's some industries where maybe that'll work, but it is not real estate. Like, it is just not. It's too relational. It's too Every transaction is unique. Like, you have to
Yeah.
have understand it, but also tell the story of that transaction and get people's interests aligned. Like, So what we try to technology for us is to enable our people to be able to spend their time on the things that are important, which is relationships and understanding the problems and solving them.
You bet. Some owners view their companies that they've built as their retirement plan because one day they're going to get an exit, right? And they're going to ride off into the sunset. And
Yeah.
others try to build wealth separately apart from their businesses as the business is growing, divesting some of the money, extracting some of it to non-correlated assets away from the business. How do you think about that for yourself?
Yeah, I think those of us in real estate, it's really difficult. It's really difficult for us to not seize the opportunities that we find in real estate. Because once you're in the game and you understand real estate, you understand the math, you understand how to leverage capital, it's just it's so hard to do anything. It's so hard to do anything else, right?
Yeah.
It's so unique. So I think we can get too uh we're probably not diversified enough that way. But I also think there's a lot of diversity in real estate. Like
Mm.
there's commercial real estate and residential real estate and starter homes, and there's a lot of different spaces in real estate that you can diversify, but the principles are the same.
Yeah. I mean, even from flipping houses to keeping them and renting them back to, getting the rent from them as a rental income. You're right. Lots
Yeah,
of diversity.
yeah. Like we do buy and holds, and so we don't just flip, but I see flipping as providing income
Hmm.
and holds as providing wealth.
Yeah, you bet. So what
Yeah.
if someone offered, walked in today and offered you a huge exit,
Mm,
the right number for you to sell the company?
mhm.
What would have to already be in place for you to feel ready to walk away?
We would have to have we would have to have the people in place that could continue to make New Again houses what it can be. And when you think about scale, like what is the most difficult thing with scale? And I think a lot of people think, oh, they go back to technology or something else. But scale, the really hard part about scale is to grow, like have enough of the right people.
It's the people. Yeah.
Like always
Yeah.
the and I don't care if you're talking about a corner restaurant or a bar or Zillow, right? Like people having enough of the right people, that's the constraint. That is the number one constraint of almost every business I've ever learned about or talked to people about. It's having enough quality people. And I don't think we think about that enough about like scale. And we think about it in technology terms, but it's really like how do we attract more of high quality people into the
Then
organization
retain and then reward at the same time,
and
right?
retaining. And so like we're a franchise business, right? Like we could not do this scale if we had employees.
Mm.
It just would not be possible. Because when you're talking about a flip project on a typical house, there's so many moving parts. Every project is different. There's so many decisions to make on the ground. So you have to have someone with boots on the ground to have ownership of those decisions, right? So if it wasn't a franchise, how would we do that? Like,
Right.
would we hire people and then we'd have to hire layers to manage those people? It would quickly become unsustainable.
Yeah,
You
your
just
overhead would be
Yeah.
cumbersome at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, and your decisions would be so slow.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you hired that person on the ground, then you'd have to hire a manager to make sure they weren't making bad decisions, and
Right.
then a manager for them, and then before long, everything's slow. Well, our business is all about speed.
Right.
So, we could not scale with employees. There's just no way to do it. And so for franchising for us is an essential part of the strategy because we've got franchise owners on the ground. They
Right.
literally and figuratively own that project. And so they're making the decisions. There's no bureaucracy. They're making the decisions. Our job as a franchisor is just to empower them to do more than they could do on their own.
Right.
And so it's like, so when you think about scale and you think about building a franchise company, it's like, for us, it's the franchise model that brings in the high quality people. But for
Got you.
another business, it's got to be something else.
Got you.
And yeah, yeah.
How
And
do you
so
think about transition a little bit? How do you think about creating liquidity or flexibility for yourself so you can choose that next chapter in your life without being locked into the business from day to day?
yeah, so I've always so my previous I actually coached college soccer,
Oh
and
yeah, I
that
played college
yeah,
soccer, by the way.
yeah, wow, yeah. I am still like my primary identity is an Arsenal supporter.
Oh,
Um,
nobody's
yeah,
perfect, Matt. It's okay.
well, we we can have that. We should probably have that conversation offline. It's been a good off season for us.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
yeah.
actually think you guys could win the Premier League this year, but I don't want to jinx you in advance. But we can talk about that offline.
Um, no, but I coached college soccer for 12 years. It's very consuming. Like you're coaching during the day, you're recruiting at night, you're traveling on the weekends. Like there's no boundaries to that job. And when I transitioned out of that into real estate, I told myself, like, the business that I choose to do after this, I'm gonna have boundaries. And I'm gonna choose a business that I can turn off at 5 or 6 o'clock, and it's not going to define my life. And so that's another reason I gravitated toward real estate because so many businesses that's not possible.
Yeah.
So for me, I've always kept really strict boundaries and I can turn it off. And so in the evenings, I've become obsessed with tennis in the past few years. And so I play a lot in the evenings. I play a lot on the weekends. And so for me, it's those boundaries that are so important.
Where were you a coach?
At King University.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Division school here in East Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah. So I went to UNC Charlotte. Spent my 97 to 2000 is when I was over there. And I was the goalkeeper on the team. And every year we progressively lost more and more games. So I don't know if it was me or the coaching or just the recruiting, but um,
It's a
it
tough
was a
crowd
fun
up
time in
there.
my life.
There's some really good college soccer in the Carolinas.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You throw a
Yeah.
rock within an hour, you're hitting a great school and a great program.
Yeah, I did
So
grad school at Duke, and that's where I started coaching, and it was like it is just the center of it was is such a magical soccer community
you
in
bet. You
the
bet.
Carolinas.
Great part of my life and great fondness for that part of
Yeah.
the country, even Tennessee as well. Just over the mountains right there. Pretty good part of the country. So the wealthy, Matt, have been using permanent life insurance as a financial tool for decades. Right. And I see a lot of similarities between what you're talking about with real estate and life insurance, permanent life insurance, when it comes to being able to leverage it and bank loans and things like that. Curious, what have you done using permanent life insurance to continue your legacy, maybe reduce income taxes, create tax-free benefits for your business or, key employees? I know you don't have many employees or any employees, but what have you done? Just curious.
Yeah, I'm always I'm I'm very I'm very I'm very I'm people are surprised by this, but I'm pretty conservative because they think the business that we're in, like we're big risk takers
Mm.
and we're really not. And
'Cause it's a
so
math problem,
it is a math problem.
right?
Like the math, you can't argue with the math. Like it's
The
always
math
right.
is the math. Yep. Yep.
It's always right. So it's always this, and it's always you can't have it all with an investment, right? Like you have to be, I think as humans, we have to be self-aware and know what we're good at and what we're not good at. And I think investments are the same thing. You can't expect everything from any one investment. And so um the vehicle of long-term life insurance is pretty consistent. Like, it's not going to be a high growth investment, but it's also not going to be high risk. And you can't
The
there's
math
a
is the math, as you say. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so I'm a firm believer in investing in people that are really good at something. And that's one of the reasons I don't play in the stock market is I just don't think I don't know how I could ever beat the market and the experts.
Yeah.
With life insurance, as I understand it, it's professionals
Yeah.
who who play that game every day.
Yeah. You bet. And at the level you would be, for sure, it's definitely professionals. Um, you don't want part-time specialists, right, in any one area, or jacks of all trade.
You don't want that. Well, the world has just become so much more sophisticated than it was 20 years ago. I think
Hmm.
you could actually be a jack of all trades 20 years ago, and you could be good at a lot of different things, and you could be successful at a lot of different things. Today, man, everything is so competitive and so sophisticated.
You even see it, I mean, back to the athletic side, you even see it now with 12 and 13-year-olds being forced to make a decision, pick a sport, and you're going to do that sport year round, and you're going to do it competitively. And when we were younger, that wasn't the case. You played every sport up until high school, and even then, when you went to college, you kind of picked what you were going to do
Yeah.
full time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
I don't
think
know if
from a
it's
business perspective, it's done. It's, from a professional and business perspective, society is kind of doing the same thing.
yeah. Yeah. And I tell young people, like, you only have to be good at one thing. Like, if you're really good at one thing, like, you can be as successful as you want to be. But on the flip side, like in 2025, you got to be good at something.
Mm,
You can't be average. Like, average is going to get wiped out by AI.
yeah.
Like, you've got to be really, really good at something.
And how do you know? Using the metaphor between athletics, but I think it translates to business as well. I mean, how do you know if you haven't had experience trying a multitude of different things, right?
Yeah, it's really hard because when like you take somebody in their 20s and they're coming out of college, like, you don't even know yourself in your 20s, right? Like, I had no idea who I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I had an idea, but I had no idea.
Right.
But where I think I learned the most about myself is when I put myself in kind of like foreign kind of situations and just internships and experiences, like things that were outside my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And like, I was an accounting major and I did an accounting internship before my senior year and realized I hated accounting. But I have an accounting degree, but I didn't do that internship until I was a senior. So, like, now it's my least favorite thing in the world is accounting. And so
But that's
just
exactly what the internship was for, right?
for it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, just do stuff. Like, action, man. Like,
Try it. Yeah.
if you're in your 20s and you just do stuff and you try to, and not just do random stuff, but do stuff with people who are really good at whatever they do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do that. Do that in your 20s, man. Like, you'll figure it while you're learning about yourself and you're figuring out what do you want to be the best in the world at.
If your kids were listening or your family was listening to this podcast years from now, 15, 20 years from now, what's one lesson that you'd want them to take away from your approach to building wealth and keeping a legacy?
Yeah, I observe people. Like, I do my own podcast, so I've listened to people's stories, and one thing I've become more and more convinced of is that money does not make people happy. I don't think I've visited like very poor places around the earth. I am not convinced that wealthier people are happier. And there's a point. And so it's like it's not just about finding that thing you want to. We have to specialize, right? Like we have to get good at something in
Ultimately,
this.
yes.
But that's a choice. Like you're
Hmm.
choosing, and it may not be the thing that is going to be the most profitable. Like maybe that's not a math problem, but like do something that is meaningful to you and fits like who you are, because the product matters. Like I say this a lot. Like the product matters. The product you choose to be the best at, or the product you choose to sell or to build, that needs to be consistent with what you want in life,
Hmm. It's got
right?
to be
And I don't
congruent. Yeah.
it's yeah, they've gotta fit. I mean,
Hmm.
they don't have to fit, like, plenty of people have that disconnect, but I think it's possible. There's so many different ways to make money. Like, there's
Well,
loads of ways.
and that's when what you do doesn't feel like work, right? Like for
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
this is a passion for you and it feeds your coaching and your teaching and it feeds your entrepreneurship. Um, so it doesn't feel like work. I bet there's no such thing as too early or too late for you.
I don't yeah,
Yeah.
it's not, like,
It's kind of like your hobby.
it's what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing because it aligns with, like, what I feel like I'm good at,
Yeah.
you know? Like, the things I'm bad at, like, I've
Your
figured out how.
unique ability, your unique purpose.
And
Yeah.
so it's like I'm doing what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, and, I don't wanna take that for granted 'cause I don't think many people can say that.
You bet. What about
Yeah.
blind spots? So, what's a blind spot you think most successful business owners overlook when it comes to protecting their wealth?
I think the the capital required to create competitive advantages is largely underestimated.
Mm.
And so I think people that have been successful in one thing think that they can translate that success to something else, or they can, rather than invest in something that someone else is the best in the world at, they think, oh, I could go and invest my money and build this new thing that could create a competitive advantage, could create a higher return. And I think
A better mousetrap.
better mousetrap, yeah. And it goes back to like 20 years ago. I've been on this theme for a few weeks now. Curious what you think about it. But 20 years ago, a mom and pop business, just a simple business without capital, there was a path to success for them. Now, everything is so competitive and requires so much capital. Just think about building a storefront now compared to 20 years ago, and how much capital that requires, or a lease, or equipment. Like everything requires so much more capital now that
Even if
it's
you're just going to use it for marketing purposes, right?
yeah,
Because I agree with you. And here's why I think you're onto something there is because as consumers of products and services, we have too much choice available to us now.
hmm
So, word of mouth isn't sustainable because it's a lot easier for me to just go down the street to get the thing than to go down the street and around the corner and up the block, which is really inconvenient for me for my friend's referral, right? Especially if the value add is marginal.
yeah,
So I think we just have way too many choices available. So that capital
yeah,
outlay is to try to just stay front of mind, or it's to create a differentiation, or it's to create, like you said, systems, processes, inventory, equipment. It's very expensive from a monetary standpoint, as well as from a time standpoint as well.
well, you use the word, you know, additional choices. The word, it's that makes it more competitive, right? There's just
Right.
efficient for
Right.
eyeball and for
Exactly.
whatever it is. It's just so much more competitive. So you think
Yeah.
about, all right, where is it in the economy where you can compete without capital right now? And you think, oh, well, you could be a YouTube creator. But those guys, like that's gotten capital intensive.
Yeah. You got to build a studio. You got to hire content writers. Yeah.
The best is Mr. Beast. And like look at the guy
Millions.
like
Millions.
unreal the
His
capital.
production costs are through the roof.
Yeah, are these YouTubers like
Yeah.
there's capital required now that there wasn't 3 years ago
Yeah.
because of just to get in front of eyeballs, it's capital intensive. Music is the same way. Like it's just really interesting to me, and I don't think it's good, but it is what it is.
You're right. It is what it is. It's the reality that business owners we're all facing right now. What's to that point, what's one thing you know now about business or wealth that you wish you would have known a decade ago?
Um, I would say for real estate in particular, uh, wealth and income and cash flow are different. Like those are different things.
Uh-huh.
And like in business, your model has to create all three of those things. And like a lot of times you can create, like in real estate, for example, it's it's easiest to create wealth, right? Because you can leverage other people. Like you can build a beautiful balance sheet. But it's harder to take that balance sheet and create profit, right? So that because you need to show profit, lenders want to see profit. But then like you also have to show cash flow.
Right.
And the world is full of real estate people who have great balance sheets and no cash flow. And so I don't think there's enough
Mm.
strategy around that.
That's
And yeah, and it's another reason like diversity is important.
yeah, you're absolutely right. No, that's good. So let's do a quick lightning round. You got time for a couple quick questions, quick hitters? Okay, so I'm gonna
Sure.
ask you a few questions. I want the fastest response you can give off the top of your head. Let's not put a lot of thought, just quick reactions. So, a book that changed how you view business or wealth.
Uh, Good to Great.
Good one. Yeah, I was thinking about that too as you were mentioning some of your
Mhm.
stories. One myth about entrepreneurship you'd love to bust
Um, it's easy
or
and
quick,
glamorous.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
easy and glamorous. Like it is like the grind. Like in a lot of ways, it's a battle of attrition. It's just you just keep putting one foot. A lot of days, it's like putting one foot in front of the other.
Hormozy has this meme or quote on Instagram, and it's entrepreneurship is not about um, how many times you fail. It's about how many times you get back up
Hmm.
and keep continuing to get back up every
Yeah,
time.
the same is true for soccer or any other sport, right? I just finished reading Andre Agassi's book Open, which is one of the best books I've ever read.
No kidding.
And um, it's just like it's like if you're gonna do big things, people are gonna take shots at you. Everything's gonna be hard. Like to get to the top of anything, it's gonna be hard,
Mm.
and you are going to get kicked in the stomach multiple times. But it's the same if it's whether you want to build a business or you want to be number one in the world in tennis. Like it's the same thing. Like it's not the most talented people that end up at the top. It's it's
That's
the most resilient
yeah,
people.
that's right. That's exactly right. What's if you could whisper one thing or one sentence to yourself 10 years ago, what would it be?
10 years ago. Adjust your adjust your expectations. Ask more questions from people who had been successful, honest people who have been successful. Because
Hmm.
social is full of it is full of self-proclaimed successful people who lie for a living. Right? Like
You bet. It's not what it seems.
it's every it's just false expectations, and like just knowing how hard it is to build something that's sustainable and hardy and can last. I think we started with this. Like, there's no shortcuts to that. Like,
There's no shortcuts. There's
it's
no
a
easy button.
it's little things every single day. It's like takes time, man. Like, you just can't do those things fast.
No, you can't. Mac, your story from professor slash coach to a process driven founder, it brings to light some powerful truths about scaling, simplicity, and your sustainable business model. Your emphasis on systems over shortcuts, technology, but people over technology, empowering your franchisees locally while they stay nationally coordinated. It's awesome, man. It's very rare and very refreshing to see. So thank you for sharing your warmth, your discipline,
Yeah.
your vision with Uncommon Wealth. I mean, I'd love to connect with you off camera to explore how preserving wealth across your expanding ecosystem could work, but I really appreciate you taking the time to join the podcast. And for the listeners, you mentioned your podcast. Can you let them know what it is so they know how to find it?
Yeah, my hobby podcast is findawaypod.com.
And what's it
And
talk about?
it, it I live in a small town. Like, we're a small town in East Tennessee, and it is about leaders here that are doing extraordinary things in a small town, and it's leaders who are as smart as any people in the world, and their stories aren't being told. And I just love hearing their stories and being able to try to tell them.
And giving them a voice and a platform. Good for
Yep.
you. Well, Matt, thanks for joining Uncommon Wealth. Appreciate
All
it.
right, it's around me.
Thank you.